Welcome everyone to Lean Portland's Happy Hour. I'm Maria Grzanka. I'll be the host for tonight. And tonight I am happy to introduce three friends that also run organizations that are somewhat similar to Lean Portland. And they'll tell us a little bit more about that. We have Tracy Defoe. She's an adult educator who specializes in learning at work. Her mission is to be smarter about learning, and she wants you to be smarter about learning too. Tracy was drawn into learning and teaching business improvement by her manufacturing clients more than 20 years ago. Presently, Tracy is a humble lean practitioner and a Kata geek, a crossover academic, and the host of a weekly Cascadia Coaches Dojo Zoom call. I think she also has a new puppy at home.
Yes, who is asleep though? He's sleeping now. We're good.
Nice. We also have Brion Hurley. He is a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt at Business Performance Improvement in Portland, Oregon. He teaches Lean and Six Sigma classes, facilitates workshops and events, performs statistical analysis, and mentors employees through improvement efforts. He is the author of the Lean Six Sigma for Good book series, and he volunteers his time with Lean Portland as the community consultant lead, managing and leading multiple nonprofit improvement projects. We also have Brittney Garza. She's a lean specialist at West Tech Engineering. Although originally her background was in engineering, she has a green belt from the University of Utah and is currently working on her MBA. She enjoys leading Kaizen events and brainstorming sessions in the company and co-founded a local group in Salt Lake City called the Lean Pop-Up. The Lean Pop-Up's mission is to create a network of companies building a culture of continuous improvement throughout Utah. And I had some work in Boston or in the Boston area last year, and I went to take a tour of the Lean Enterprise Institute, and I was walking around the office there. They're like, oh my gosh, I told them about Lean Portland and what we were doing, and they said I had to meet Brittany and hear about the Lean Pop-Up. So I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about that and share that with you all tonight. Tracy, if you don't mind, I'd love to start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about the Cascadia Coaches Dojo call? And there might be some people on the call that aren't familiar with Dojo and Kata. Yeah. So how and when was that created, and what do you do?
Sure. So Toyota Kata, we should start there.
Yeah.
Is a duo of routines. Kata means pattern or routine. That Mike Rother put into a book, having researched the management culture of Toyota, the Toyota company. I don't know how far back to go. Mike Rother, author of Learning to See, the value stream mapping book, and close friend and student neighbor of Jeff Liker. So the two of them in Michigan been studying Toyota and writing about it for a long time. Jennifer is part of my group, so I would love if she wants to jump in. So let me know how far back to go. So the Toyota Kata community has been meeting for about 6 years internationally, and in the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, British Columbia area, we've probably been meeting, well, I got involved around 2010, so 10 years ago, and it's probably even longer for Jennifer or people in Portland, because Portland was one of the pilot sites where they were trying to figure out how to teach people to be a lean leader and ask questions in a kind of Socratic way, right? So don't tell people what to do, but try to engender a thinking pattern, or try to get people to be aware of thinking and to figure out where this person is thinking, rather than just tell them to go do Kanban or 5S or something. And you can probably right away see the Venn diagram of my interest. I'm an adult educator. I've been working in industry for a long time, helping people make their programs better. So I had been telling people for a long time to stop telling people the answer and ask them the question, and figure out the edge of what they know, and then start at the edge of what they know, and then build towards where you want to be. Like, I've been telling people that for a long time. So when Mike Rother's book came out, the first book with the research, people said to me, you should talk to this guy in Michigan. He says stuff like you say. So that's how, as an adult educator, I got involved in the Kata movement. As Maria said, it was some of my clients in manufacturing who got me involved in continuous improvement and lean, because they figured out I was better at teaching it than they were. So fast forward to last fall, been learning and teaching and coaching the Dojo patterns for a while, the Kata patterns for a while. So where do you go to learn a Japanese pattern? You go to a dojo. Dojo just means a place to learn. And a colleague and fellow Kata geek and excellent coach named Thilo Schwartz had developed in the last 10 years or so, he's from Germany, so in Europe, a way to micro teach the skills of coaching, break it down, sort of in that wax on, wax off way.
Love it.
And very, very small exercises. And he wanted to do a North American tour. And he phoned me one day, or actually emailed me and said, I want to come and teach, and I want to give people the dojo. He made it Creative Commons, so it's free, right, to use. And he said, but I need to introduce it to people, and will you help me get one going on the West Coast? And so that's what we did. So I helped organize the one we held at Cass Tailored in just right by Boeing there in Seattle area. And when a few weeks after that was over, as soon as that happened, I actually went away. When I came back 3 weeks later, I found out nobody had followed up. So as an educator or a consultant, when I do something with somebody, the biggest thing for me is if you didn't remember it, you didn't learn it. You didn't put it into practice, you didn't learn it. And so I organized a phone call where I just invited everybody, the 40 people who had been at that training, let's talk. You want to talk? You want to tell us how you're doing? And I started last October, a Zoom call every Friday, 12:30 to 1. It's just half an hour. The idea was lunchtime. And we get, between, I think the smallest number we ever had was on an American holiday, and we had 6 people. But we often get 9, 12, 15 people. But the fun part about the Kata Dojo call is extremely high-level conversation. And I know some of the people who phone in just can't believe they get to talk for free to a lot of really, really exemplary coaches and lean experts and people who they would maybe not ever call or think they could hire or something. Mm-hmm. And the intriguing part for me, and Jennifer, like I said, is on the call every week almost and is an excellent participant and good sharer. I think people enjoy the conversation. I think they enjoy the community. So we've all gotten to be much closer friends. And I know that everybody struggles in whatever situation they're at, wondering if they're doing the right thing. I mean, if you're a consultant, you're often kind of alone or maybe with 1 or 2 other people. And so to phone in and say, I'm coaching this guy or I'm doing this and how's it going? And there are inherently, there's things you can get better at in the coaching Kata, and so having somebody who's been really knows how to do it, etc., is a big benefit. But the other thing that we do is we will coach people. Just like you said, you do things for free. If people are looking for a coach and they need a coach, right now we have 2 different groups of people who are coaching somebody who wanted to be a learner or who has actually been coaching people but has never been a learner, never been the person doing the improvement. And so by, almost for our own pleasure, we for free will coach people if they want to be coached.
Yeah.
So it's a sharing and caring community, and that's what we do. We do it every Friday.
That's great. Thank you, Tracy. So that piece, like where you said everyone struggles, and I think we all have at different times have a different struggle that we're going through. I think that's one of the things that brings us together in Lean Portland, even just at our social happy hours. We want to create this community of brand new learners mixed up with more experienced practitioners so that we can all learn from each other. So with that, I want to ask the same question to Brion. Tell us a little bit about Lean Portland. How and when was it created, and what do you do in the group?
So the group was set up probably 2010, 2011, I think. And it started out as just a LinkedIn group created by Matt Horvat, who wasn't here tonight, but he's been
he's
kind of
a
the
standard
one that
guy,
spearheaded
by the
this
way.
group. He is a standard
Yay.
guy. Yeah. And so he just wanted a group for networking and really just meeting other people, because he was on travel a lot and really looking for that connection with people who kind of spoke the same language and understood what he was going through. And So I moved to Portland in 2013 and heard about this group on LinkedIn and joined it. And I was also looking for a way to kind of work with nonprofits or some kind of give back associated with that. And that group, the way you set it up was kind of the goal around that as well. And they had done some projects just prior around 2012, 2013 with a local nonprofit called Friends of the Children. But then there really is kind of a lag there until maybe about 2015 when we had our first unconference to try to take the LinkedIn group into something in person. And so that was late 2015. And out of that event just spurred a bunch of activity. A couple different groups, some took like a leadership role, other groups took a role around working with nonprofits. And I think the key thing was we just started meeting on a regular basis, usually twice a month or maybe once a month at least. But just getting in the habit of getting together and talking through ideas really kind of made it more formal at that point. And then 2016, we started working with social venture partners on a small project in the Rebuilding Center. And then every year we kind of added one or two other nonprofits. We had another unconference in 2016, and that was where the happy hours began right after that. So I think it was probably summer of 2016 we started having the monthly happy hour, and we've had those for now almost 4 years straight. We missed a few here and there, but for the most part, it's been probably the most consistent thing we've done. And again, just in-person networking. We've only recently really had presentations and topics to talk about. Usually it's just, if you want to come talk about lean and grab a beer, this is the group to meet with. So we've gotten a little bit more formal, but sometimes we don't have any formality and there's no trouble finding topics to talk about. So, so that brings in group people from who have this role, like a lean role or Six Sigma role or process improvement role. Some are just looking to learn more about it. Some people just wander over from a nearby table and said, "What's your group?" And they sit down and start talking. So we've had a wide variety of people show up to the meetings, but yeah, so and that's what we've been basically doing, and Maria talked about a few of those things already.
Thanks, Brian.
Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of our last happy hours that we did at the Lucky Lab. We were kind of taking up a lot of room, and it was that night that I brought all those games. And there was a guy that was like kind of sitting in our area who was not part of our group. And I said, I apologize. Like, I'm so sorry we've been in your way and taking up your space. And I asked him what he did. It turns out he was a lean consultant, but he didn't know, like he wasn't there because we were all meeting there. He just happened to be in our way, basically.
It's funny.
So Brittany, same question to you. Tell us a little bit about Lean Pop-Up. How and when was it created, and what do you do?
All right. So I think we started in about 2014, and it really started because I became the lean specialist, but I had no background or understanding of lean, like at all. I was trying to read books to learn about it, and there was one person in my company who had some knowledge on lean. So I got on LEI's website, and they have, it's like a LinkedIn, but just for people doing lean. So I just messaged everyone in Utah, and I got 2 responses. And one of them was Tracy Drewlard, and she came and had lunch with me, and she'd been a lean practitioner for a long time, and she gave me some books, gave me some tips. And we were just talking about it would be nice to get some people together that do lean and just, try to start some things, try to start some networking. So I knew like 4 people that were in lean, and she knew a lot more. And we kind of just got this little group together, and we called it a lean pop-up because our idea was to go to different companies and see how they do lean within their organization. So we quarterly, we haven't been doing as good lately, but quarterly, usually we go to a different organization. We talk about a topic, and then we take a tour of the company and just see how they do lean. And then kind of the benefit that we say we can give the company is we can maybe say some areas where we think they could improve. But it's just really useful for us to be able to see lean in action and be able to take those ideas and just tweak them to fit our organization's needs. So yeah, that's kind of how we've been going. So
that's great. And I love that all three of the stories are just kind of a little bit, the common theme there for me is like people just wanted to get together and talk about lean and or the way that they're practicing lean or the coaching or the kata. So what a wonderful community to be a part of. Brittany, what do you think draws people to the lean pop-up group? You may have mentioned it a little bit already. Just like you didn't have as many examples in your current workspace, and so you're looking out for other or bringing people to places where they can see how lean is practiced in these different companies. What kind of people do you draw, like come to the group or go on the tours?
So we get a lot of different people. I liked what you were saying where it's like, there's some people who are really inexperienced, and then you have all the way up to people who are very experienced and kind of trying to like meet everybody's needs, which can be difficult when you're talking up here, down here. But we have, so in my work, I work at an engineering firm, and we're not a manufacturing line. It's all office work. It's all on computers. Right. So it's much different than a manufacturing line, but which is one of the difficulties I had in seeing how to apply lean. So we try to get a lot of different types, like manufacturing, healthcare, office settings, so that we can see lean in a lot of different settings. So it's not just all manufacturing or all office work. So I think one of the things that draws people in, we did have a partnership for a little while with the University of Utah Manufacturing Extension Partnership. So we were able to use that to advertise a little more and get some different people involved. But we've kind of just used our own spheres of influence to invite other people to come. And we kind of have a core group that always comes. It kind of sounds like with you guys all kind of know each other, the core people that come often. We kind of have that same thing going on with the core people, and then different people who come in and go out. And I don't know, I love just being able to share and learn with from people and also teach people. So
great, thank you. So Tracy, Brittany mentioned like a lot of the different industries that they were reaching out to. I've been on a few of the Cascadia coaches call, but not a ton of them. Can you describe, like, I'm sure that there's a wide variety of, I know there's people that work at companies, but also consultants that are working with many companies. Do you have any good examples to share of maybe some industries that we haven't thought of that are using lean or kata?
Well, I'm sure you've thought of healthcare. So that's one, outside of the usual. And I think in Washington State, actually, the state government is pretty good with lean. They're kind of well known for that.
Yeah.
We have people of such wide experience, but we also have like newbies, which is the best thing about our call. That's what I mean. Like people think if they know about it, they could phone in and talk to people that would be like, oh, wow, I talked to that guy today or this person, right? And they're so approachable and they were so excited about my problem and they asked me such good questions. I don't know about industries, but what I was going to mention, what I thought I would mention was, because although it's a Zoom call and you have to get invited, I don't close the door on people joining. So we actually have right now two people who've been joining for a few weeks who are like in Illinois or somewhere like that. And we have one guy who phones from Boston. Like he just kind of heard about it. We wanted to ask him a question. So somebody asked him a question and now sometimes he phones in. And I think it's more about a passion for the topic and a search for a peer group. Right? Like we want to talk to people who are going to get why you're excited about it or why you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we also do, like we will talk off the call. Like if somebody wants to run some exercises and practice or something like that, then we will talk off the call. But in terms of the scope of people and the kinds of industries, I mean, you know, software, like I said, healthcare, people actually making engines, you know, people making doors, like it's just sort of everything you can think of. Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit off my script here because I wanted to mention, so the reason, like Tracy and I met at Kata Con, the Kata, Toyota Kata conference that happens this was the sixth year.
Yeah.
And one of the topics that drew me to Tracy was she was asking for people that had examples of kata in secret. And people practicing kata in secret. And what really resonated with me too was not just the kata practice, but any kind of like lean, you know, you read a book about lean, but my company is like really not into lean. And I was really, I don't know, I guess I was grateful to hear that there was enough stories there for you to be paying attention to, like how many people are practicing in secret. Can you tell us a little bit about what you found there?
Yeah, I almost want to ask for a show of hands, except I can only see 9 people. But, you know, if you have ever concealed from your boss or coworkers that you were improving their system or even improving your own, and, you know, like put your hand up, because it turned out to be a completely universal experience that shocked me. So I did that work with Hal Froelich, who is an old Boeing guy, and somebody who actually was, you know, sent to Japan and had a sensei and everything back in whenever it was, the late 60s or 70s, when people were still doing that from North America. And Hal was completely not surprised that people were oppressed by their bosses, and that people concealed their knowledge and experience, and nobody said, wow, great, let's learn that together. Because I have mostly worked and been employed by universities. And when you work in a university, almost nobody ever says, you're interested in that, but that's not your main field. So no way, you're not allowed to learn that. Most people say, well, that's really interesting. Get your marks in on time. No one cares what you do. So, so anyway, I was shocked by the oppression of it. And as I started asking people, I've collected, yes, a whole bunch of stories, but I also wanted the kind of lean community, or particularly the Toyota Kata practicing community, to understand that the way we write about and present the lean revolution or the transformation or the knowledge organization always starts with somehow or other the CEO is engaged, and, you know, like cascading groups are deployed to like become a knowledge organization. And actually most of the time it's the other way. Some stubborn group of people quietly make a giant improvement and then reveal that they've been doing this. And that was the story that got me the first time. And I found out it's really common. In fact, it's probably more common that people learn and connect that way than that you have a blinding flash of insight from a boss who decides that they want to change themselves and the company and their culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So, Brion, you've been involved in Lean Portland for quite some time now. What makes you continue to volunteer your time to Lean Portland?
You know, I think at first I was attracted to the group with the just the idea that I realized that a lot of the concepts and tools that I was using in my job, there had bigger ramifications for where we could apply that. So I think I noticed that there was something there about working with nonprofits. And so that I'd seen that with a couple other organizations I was involved with. We would go to a conference and there was a little volunteer activity before the conference. And I really got excited about that and seeing some of the impacts you could have on environmental problems. So I just, as we look at like problems in the world going on, you know, you start noticing like, hey, there's like tangible ways you can approach those problems that I don't think are happening today. And people are just guessing and throwing out ideas without any testing or experimentation. So I think the ability to influence bigger social issues was really the first motivator. And then what makes you stick with it is the ability to get some chances to work with some cool nonprofits and actually feel like you're helping them out. but the other piece was just, you know, I would say most of the friends I have in Portland are part of this group. So you come back for the friendships that have developed. And so I think that's at the heart of it is really the most important part. But that wasn't what I expected going into it. I just thought, okay, we get some opportunity to do some work, but
Yeah,
that's been a nice side benefit.
that's great. Thank you. Let's see. I'll throw this last question out to the three of you, so just feel free to pop in. But given our current global pandemic that's happening, if you could drop in on any group's conversation and tell them about lean or however you're practicing lean, where would you drop in on and join that team?
I don't want to go first because I have no idea what I'm going to say. So Brian or somebody else go first.
Well, I thought about this for a while and I was like, oh man, there's a lot of crazy things going on. There could be, you know, people need to be manufacturing more face masks, everything going on with the health industry. Then I was really selfish and I thought about how I'm homeschooling my kids and particularly my junior high student and the elementary school students. There's one teacher, email me a checklist. I print it off for the week and my elementary school kids get it done. My junior high child, all the teachers are emailing me, all 9 of them. They all have different software programs they're using. They all have different ways they're grading the assignments and it's been horrible. So I selfishly have thought of junior high education because it's been difficult to deal with.
Yeah, sounds like they need some standards at that school, huh? Brian, any thoughts from you?
I struggled with this too. I couldn't figure out exactly where I would want to jump in. There is so many different places. You know, I guess when things are starting to roll out, when they start talking about ventilators, I keep thinking about where is the actual demand at right now and how do you give them only what they need so you don't overdo it, and then are we batching everything? You know, so I think it just comes up in every topic that I hear. I just can't keep thinking about there's probably a smarter way to do this, but you're fighting speed and at all costs. And so, you know, it doesn't feel like there's even a way to interject into some of it. It's just like this big train going down the path and you just get out of the way or jump on it, but you're not going to change direction very easily. So unfortunately, I think the thinking should have started way back before this happened. And so all we can really do is try to continue to move forward. So the next issue like this, we are better prepared for it and think smarter about it. So yeah, I just think about distribution of supplies.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You know, all the talk this week about the different modeling that they're doing at the University of Washington and like the statistical analysis piece. I thought you would pick something around there.
Oh,
yeah, I think you have to be really skilled at that. I mean, to jump right in, I think I don't have that particular expertise. So I think it would take me so long to ramp up to be useful, you know. But it is interesting. I do like to see that the data part and the models, but I don't think I could help right away. It would take me a while to really get useful.
So I was actually going to pick one that's a little bit like your second one, but it's not about the modeling. So in British Columbia, we have a female, a woman who is the public health officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, and she speaks to us every single day. But I have noticed, and in fact, my husband often redoes her charts. I have noticed that not everybody gets the charts and understands what she's showing, even though she's an excellent communicator. She's such an excellent communicator that John Fluvog has designed a shoe in her honor. And the thing she says every day, be kind, be calm, be safe, has become almost like it's on t-shirts and people write it on the side of their buildings. I still think there's a lot you could do just with the data she's trying to show people to make people understand what do these numbers mean. Like I saw a really good meme yesterday that said, if we relax or, you know, the restrictions on social distancing, which we actually don't have very many here because people just cooperated. But anyway, if you relax, it doesn't mean that everything's okay, it means we have room for you in the hospital, right? Like that's literally what that means. We're trying to flatten the curve. So we have flattened the curve. Now we have room for more people in hospital than we did before. So, you know, like there's a kind of messages there. I think that could be really important. But I want to just also say something that in my, you know, my real work hat, I'm actually a little bit of an expert in adult literacy and what people learn at work. And there are places in the world where after SARS, they developed systems to cope with education in this situation. One of them is Singapore. They had terrible SARS in Singapore. And you can imagine, you know, high density place.
Right.
So the Minister of Education, now it's a small country, but they said this will never happen again. So they immediately after SARS started flipping to online every single month since then. And it's been what, 8 years, 10 years? So they started off just with every kid, like you have a Pro D day, for example, but those professional development days were actually online teaching. So your kids at home and they're online, even in kindergarten, until high school kids were then doing a week every month. And now, 8 years later, they got high-speed internet everywhere. They all have the same platform. All the curriculum is online, and they will continue to graduate students forever if they never open their schools. So we didn't do that in Canada, but we could have, because we all know what they did in Singapore. Adult education is a pretty famous story that they actually made a plan and implemented it following SARS.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. At this point, I'm gonna open this up so I can see everybody. And does anyone have any questions for Brion or Brittany or Tracy?
I was curious about the Kata coaching phone conversations. When are those, and how can we find out how to be a part of those?
They're every Friday at 12:30 Pacific, because we're all West Coast, for half an hour. And the simplest way might be for you to get in touch with Jennifer if you guys know each other, because Jennifer is a regular on the call.
Oh, cool.
We have a few people from Portland, and so I think that might be a way if you're familiar with, if you don't know anything about Toyota Kata, the improvement kata or the coaching kata, it will be perplexing because we don't teach at all. We jump in. But if you are interested to listen in, it's free, and we are a pretty welcoming group.
You know, I would add to that, and Jennifer, feel free to jump in. If you want to just get a quick primer on what the Toyota Kata is, just go to Mike Rother's website. There's like so much material there. You can get a pretty good picture of what that entails, and then look for something called the starter kata, and that's a good way to start practicing kata in secret.
Yeah. Or maybe Northwest MEP, Northwest PEC, whatever it is. Jennifer's organization has, I think, maybe even online training or some sort of introduction. She has pretty good slides, I know that.
Yeah, we've got some stored resources from when we have her in the class. A lot of it we just steal shamelessly from Mike and repurpose.
Great, thank you.
I had a question for Brittany.
Yeah, go ahead, Brion.
How do you guys find the organizations to tour with? Is it you just network around until you find a company that will let you come in and take a tour, or what's been working for you to get the tour set up?
Yeah, so at first it was just like whoever is willing, and we're kind of back to that now. Once we started partnering with the University of Utah MEP, they had clients that they had done projects with and made improvements in the company. So it was nice when we kind of had that partnership, because they almost used it like as a way for the group that they had worked with to show off what they had done and to make sure they were ready for people. So like, hey, this group is going to come in. You guys really have to have your stuff together. They're going to ask you questions. So it was kind of beneficial for us and for them. But the MEP has since just recently, I think like in the past 6 months or something, dissolved. So we don't have that relationship anymore. So we're kind of back to networking around and who's willing to let us come in. So
Mhm.
we're hoping to create another relationship with a different organization because that really worked well.
So I might just add something totally different, but I have another group that I've been with for 12 years, which is a group of frontline workers, blue collar workers in a manufacturing place. They have a group to learn the same lean stuff the managers learn. It's called Kaizen Club. And they meet every other Wednesday for 2 hours before or after their shift. And we tour people all the time. And we just ask. So if there's somebody that we think is better at something than their company is, or if there's something that that they're interested in, because maybe we're working on a problem that has to do with it, we usually just ask. And almost everyone is so intrigued to meet them that that we do, not too many, but maybe 3 tours or so a year. So it's something you'd be surprised how few people think it. I mean, there are some companies that people badger all the time to go see, and sometimes people even charge now to go tour them. But lots of people are interested enough for your idea. So we've never really found it super hard to find people who want to let 24 blue collar workers come and look at their lean line.
That's great. I love the Kaizen Club. That would have been, I feel like that was kind of like how I positioned a lot of the work we were doing at the trucking company that I was working with. How might we capture some of the ideas that come out of these conversations? Some things that came to mind for me was like, we have a Lean Portland Slack channel that we don't really use, but it's there. We could use it. We could probably put something on the website. And then like broader than Lean Portland, I know that LEI has just launched a Slack channel that is like some kind of Lean lab. I haven't really looked into it yet. And there's another group that's affiliated with LEI called Planet Lean, and that's a global Lean community. And I think they have a lot of their information out there. But even just locally, if it was just like a Google spreadsheet of like ideas with categories, I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I like that idea. And I think it'd be good just get something started and then kind of see where it goes from there. I like that. And to Sue Mary's point, to make it maybe more public on stuff that can be helpful to other organizations, it would be great. I love that idea.
Who will maintain it?
Yep, I gotta go. See it. I'm just sorry. No, I was kidding. That was to Charlie's question. Who's going to maintain it?
One of the cool things about like Google, like a Google Sheet, is like you can make it public, or email, request permission to enter things, and then like anyone can, like nobody owns it. It's just there that anyone can update.
I have a comment. I think it'd be useful to hear what some of the hiccups are, so we can kind of address instead of kind of putting out generalized lessons, which is also helpful.
Well, maybe we have an idea for our next topic, a topic for our next happy hour. How might we create a place to put in these ideas, like best practices, plus some of the hiccups that come up? Great to see you, Jennifer. I know we're at the top of the hour, so if anyone has to jump off, we'll be posting a portion of this on the website, leanportland.com. Follow us on Eventbrite for future events, workshops, happy hours, and if you have any questions, send them to leanportland@gmail.com. And thank you so much, Brian, Tracy, and Brittany. Brandon, thank you for joining us. And there was someone else from Calgary that I can't remember whose name it was. And thanks for everyone that came that was new to Lean Portland. This was really fun. Thank you.